Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1933. The topic is Q&A, and the title is Nutrition and Training Adjustments for Low Testosterone. So I do help clients with low testosterone issues. I'm not a doctor, so I don't help them with specific medications or writing prescriptions or anything. But people often come to me when they're struggling to make progress. One of the things I urge people to do, if they haven't done so recently, is to get blood work done to check their hormones. So we check specifically kind of thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, those kind of hormones. And if we find that they're outside of healthy range or they're severely less than optimal, I encourage them to go see a hormone specialist. I have my own preferences, and what I'm going to say in today's podcast would reflect my opinions. And what I mean by that, like for example, is I'm not a big fan of going to a general doctor, like a regular practitioner, family doctor kind of thing. For hormone health, because I just haven't seen great results for my clients or for family members when they go to a general physician. I really believe that you should go to a hormone specialist, just like if you were having, an eye issue, you would go to an eye specialist. If you had a foot issue, you would go to a foot specialist. So it can be helpful to talk to a general physician to get some general advice, and then maybe get a recommendation or get what you need in order to get to the hormone specialist, get a referral. But I do believe getting to a hormone specialist would be the best approach, because they're going to have the most up-to-date knowledge. They're going to have great experience if that's pretty much all they do all day. They're going to have really good experience compared to somebody who that's one of many things they do all day. So that's my opinion. If you don't like it, I understand. You don't have to listen any further, but that is my opinion. And that is what I urge my clients to do, is to go talk to a hormone specialist, and they can either show the recent blood work. I know some hormone specialists make you take brand new blood work, but it's good for them to see it. It's good for you to get some advice from somebody who has that type of medical-based knowledge. And then the knowledge that I provide is helping with nutrition and exercise and kind of lifestyle factors, which are beyond the scope of what the doctor would be able to help with. So it's kind of like a team approach. That's the idea. Now, when we approach this, and this is for males and females, by the way, so I have females with hormone issues and I have males with hormone issues. So the title being low testosterone, we might automatically think of males, but that does not exclude females. Females can absolutely have low testosterone. They can have hormone issues. Significant amount of the clients that I have that have hormone issues are females. So it can definitely affect both male and females. So our approach, what I do with my clients, is to focus on kind of 4 key areas: is stress management, sleep quality, nutrition quality, and then exercise. Now, we're going to be doing that along with them talking to a hormone specialist and getting any advice they would have, and maybe any recommendations they might have on kind of supplements, because I don't like to give supplements advice. I do it with one-on-one clients, but I will not do it in a podcast, because when I do it with my one-on-one clients, I get to know their history, and we communicate via text message or email every week, and they talk to me about anything that comes up. I talk to them about anything that comes up, and we get to manage any potential effects before they actually really become anything. But the reason why I hesitate to make any suggestion in a broad format like this is a lot of testosterone boosting supplements can bring with it blood pressure problems. And if I'm not there to help you manage that, or I don't know your history, I am certainly not going to throw something out there that could get you in, worse health. So I apologize if that's what you came for, but I'm not going to give any supplement recommendations on the podcast. So I would encourage you to talk to a hormone specialist and ask their advice. The other component is a lot of supplements that are geared towards increasing the natural production of one hormone, say for example testosterone. Your body is then going to produce a counter effect. So if you take an exogenous source, like outside of the body source, that increases testosterone production, your body is going to register that the balance in the body is different. So therefore it might respond by increasing estrogen. And then if you were to stop taking that testosterone supplement, you're now in a worse off position because your testosterone will come down, but your estrogen will be high. So there will be a period of time before your estrogen would come down where you're actually in an even worse hormonal situation, assuming that it does come all the way back down and restabilize. This is where a lot of people got in trouble with pro-hormones in the past, that they would take, there were things like mast tabs and some other ones that people would get huge effects from. And it was almost like they were taking oral steroids, and they were getting very negative counter effects like acne, gynecomastia, women would get hair growth and other issues, more masculinizing effects. So that was a big issue when people were taking pro-hormones, was the after effects. So again, I do not want to recommend anything where I can't be part of the management of that recommendation. So again, I'm sorry about that, but I would encourage you to reach out to a hormone specialist in your area. In the Charlotte area, I recommend clients go to Premier Hormone Health. It's actually, they can work with you virtually or in person. And the reason why is because I know clients who have had success with that company, and they've been able to find an increase in the hormone balance and health with manageable and no known kind of negative effects. And why I'm saying it that way is we don't know where their health's going to be in 20 years. But for the education and knowledge that we have now, for the tests that we can run now, they are in a better place. They report feeling better. Everything looks better in blood work. Everything's going well. Joints are better. Strength's better. They're feeling leaner, stronger, more muscular, all the good stuff that you would typically want with a better hormone balance. They're finally achieving it. Better mental clarity, better emotional control. I mean, gosh, the whole thing has gone improved. But blood pressure is controlled, hormonal balance profile is good, no cholesterol problems, no other problems. So as of what we can know and what we can see, everything looks good. So that is my recommendation for local clients. For clients I work with, like all across the United States and in other countries, I typically encourage them to find sources local to them. And then in other countries, we have to go through all the different healthcare protocol. So some countries it's crazy expensive to get your hormones checked. Some countries it might be cheap to get them checked, but it's crazy expensive to get to a specialist. There's always little like hoops and stuff to jump through, but we typically will find a way. The other benefit is you can get natural improvement of hormones by managing stress, sleep, nutrition, and exercise. So for example, I had a male client, his natural testosterone, his tested testosterone levels were in the 200s, and he was in his late 20s. He asked me if he should get on, TRT or hormone replacement. And I was like, well, tell me a little bit about what's going on. Well, he had just gone through a divorce. He was the sole custody of his child. He was going to grad school, had 2 jobs, balancing the child while doing all of that, and dealing with the financial hardship of having to move and dealing with the divorce and stuff. So stress beyond measure. And, his sleep was crap, absolute crap. He was sleeping a couple hours here or there between job shifts. Nutrition, gosh, was it awful. He was eating at least, but it was whatever he could find, wherever he could find it. And we talked, and here his grad school was going to finish up in 2 or 3 months. And then we also knew, okay, by then he had a place lined up to live once he was done being on campus. He was starting to get like his elements of childcare would be in place. So there were elements where like the stress would be reduced. And then at the end of that summer, I believe it was the summer, so a couple months later, like say 3 months, his natural levels were back up into like the 500s. And then we tested another 3 months after that, and I believe it was back up into the 6s. So it was a huge improvement. He didn't need to get on any kind of hormone therapy at the time. It was just, we had to just manage all of the chaos that was his life, and through the management of that, and by the time just passing, so he was able to get through school and stuff, his natural hormones did improve. So people will sometimes go through seasons of life that are just extraordinarily challenging, and your body is going to have a stress response. Sometimes that stress response can be just the hormones absolutely tanking. We might be familiar with other things like skin irritations, blood pressure, heart palpitations. Like there are so many ways in which stress from inside the body can express itself outwardly, but it also can have that expression on the inside as well. So there have been many, 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 many cases where I've been able to work with people, and we've focused on stress management, sleep, nutrition, and exercise, and we've seen a significant increase in natural production, so much so that they were able to then just kind of take that, run with it, good improvements, had a better quality of life, and then we never actually went and did any extra therapies. Sometimes we'll get on some supplements, get a little bit of boost, get through a phase, build stuff up, then it can come back off. There's kind of all over the gamut of what people have needed in different cases. But you absolutely can make a significant improvement by managing stress, sleep, nutrition, and exercise. So do not discredit those lifestyle factors. They will absolutely 100% make a difference. So I would encourage you to focus on those, as you would also go see a hormone specialist and get their feedback as well. So some things we do for stress management. One of the things I emphasize with clients is stress management isn't only about stress reduction. There's a lot of life that we just cannot eliminate. There's a lot of life we can't sweep under the rug. We can't pretend doesn't exist. You can't focus only on the elimination or the reduction of stress. You do need to focus on your ability to endure it. And what I mean by that is by focusing on your nutrition and exercise, that can actually improve sleep quality. And then whenever sleep quality improves, all of a sudden you have more resiliency to stress. So if you have tried stress management before and it hasn't worked, you may have just tried stress reduction. And as I said, a lot of things in life can't be reduced. What I would encourage you then is to, if you haven't yet, work on stress resiliency, which would be to focus on nutrition, exercise, and then those two will improve sleep quality, and then that will improve your stress resiliency. Now, there are ways in which we want to mentally manage stress that can absolutely help. It doesn't help with reduction, it just helps with organization. We want to organize our stress, and that can help quite a bit. There's an older podcast, number 1023. If your podcast player does not go back that far, you can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com. You can, on the homepage, there's a podcast player that goes back 300 episodes. But underneath that podcast player are instructions on how to find older podcasts, whether you're on a mobile device or a laptop. Podcast 1023 is titled Mindset, Stress Management, Options, and Priorities. This is absolutely like my first thing that I start working with clients when we start working on stress management is We have to define our priorities in life. We have to see what options we have to meet each priority. So if we have a good day, a great day, a shitty day, we have to still meet these demands, meet these needs. What does that look like when we can do it optimal versus good enough versus it was something? So we talk about that. A good book for that, by the way, is Atomic Habits. And there's another book called Elastic Habits. Those are very good books. But understanding priorities, then understanding the options that you have available to you to meet those priorities can then help you manage your day to where you're not reacting throughout your day as much as you can be proactive throughout your day. You will know as the day goes, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, rather than as the day goes, oh crap, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. So rather than the focus being on what you cannot do, you actually will be able to focus on what you can yet do, regardless of how the day goes. So I would really, really encourage you to check out that podcast. The next thing we want to talk about is sleep. Podcast 1149 is a mindset podcast titled Creating a Healthier Sleep Pattern. Great podcast. I know I made it, so I'm going to be biased, but great podcast because we talk about how you can prepare for the sleep that you want to have tonight, starting like yesterday. So it's all a cycle. Like what I do yesterday bleeds into today, bleeds into, the morning, then into the afternoon, then the evening, then into tomorrow morning. Like a sleep pattern isn't just what you do at night. It's what you do during the day as well. And that podcast talks about that, kind of the overall approach to creating a healthier sleep pattern. One of the big things is consistency in bedtime. Really, honestly, try to go to bed at the same time every night. It's healthier for you to get up earlier to get something done than it is to stay up later. You will wreck your sleep quality. You will wreck your hormones. It's better to go to bed on a consistent time and then get up an hour earlier if you need to, rather than trying to stay up an hour later, which just kind of messes everything up. So that's one suggestion, is it's better to get up early than to go to bed late. Another suggestion is to reduce stimulus leading into bedtime. Try to bring the lights down, try to bring sounds down, try to bring just any kind of activity, try to reduce that down. You want to try to like ramp down for the day. Bring everything down. Noises down, lights down, sounds down, activity down, just down, down, down. Try to get your body quiet, try to get your environment quiet. And reduce stimulus so that we can start to get the body naturally ready to fall asleep. And then in the morning, do the opposite. You can absolutely self-sabotage and set the alarm on your phone before you go to bed, and then slide the phone across the room on the carpet. And then when it's going off in the morning, you'll curse yourself out, but you'll have to get out of bed to go turn it off, or you'll just try to sleep through it. So make the alarm as loud, obnoxious, and annoying as possible. Don't make it a song you like. Make it some awful, horrendous, robotic beep, beep, beep. Just like the worst sound ever. Like if you could make your alarm the sound of nails dragging across a chalkboard, make it that sound. Make it a horrible, horrible sound. This is probably the worst advice for happiness in the morning. But the reason why is I've known many people who will just sleep through their alarms because their alarm is too damn nice. Don't make it nice. But for example, they actually make alarm clocks now that are puzzles, and you have to solve the puzzle to turn off the alarm. So there's one alarm clock where you have to actually it's a mat. It's a mat that you lay next to your bed. You can actually lay it anywhere, but it only turns off if you put pressure on the mat. So you would actually have to get up out of bed and put your feet on the mat, and that turns the alarm clock off. So there are products that encourage this self-sabotaging. So I might sound like a lunatic, but there are products that support this lunacy. But the idea is you don't want to make it easy to sleep in. Don't try to hit the snooze button. That just jacks you up. Sleep cycles, they've shown, are roughly 90-minute cycles. So if you start to fall back asleep and then try to get up, you might have initiated the start of a sleep cycle, and then you're actually more groggy when you try to get up. There's a lot of science about, there's a lot of apps actually you can get to monitor sleep cycles, and they'll actually wake you up within a range where you would set say a 20 or 30 minute range for an alarm clock, and it would predict the changeover of a sleep cycle, and it'll actually wake you up in like kind of like a moment where you would have the most alertness, arousal. So it's actually really neat. There's a lot of science about this stuff. I love all these books. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks about sleep. So you want to, in the morning, get yourself up, turn on the lights, maybe listen to a podcast, hint, hint, or an audio book. You might even just want to have like meditation time, but don't do it in bed. You'll likely fall asleep. Get up out of bed and, do it sitting in a chair or at a tabletop, or, just do a meditation while you're brushing your teeth and, taking morning medicines or supplements or whatever it might be. Maybe take a shower in the morning if that helps you wake up. Just try to get up and get moving, get some stimulus up. So at nighttime, you go down, down, down. Down in sounds, down in light, down in activity. In the morning, you go up in sounds, up in light, up in activity. So get your body into that rhythm, and that's going to help you improve your sleep quality. Next, we want to look at nutrition. Oh my gosh. Usually when people are overwhelmed, stressed, their nutrition is crap. Most often when I talk with people with low testosterone or hormone health, they're typically severely undereating. This is not always the case, but it's more often the case than it is any other thing, anything else, is they usually come to me and they're severely undereating. So we have to find a healthier balance of calories. We have to increase their protein, and we have to work on timing. If you want to learn how to do that on your own, we do have on the website, www.brutalirongym.com, go to free nutrition education. The first link on that page is create your own nutrition program. You can literally find out the calories, protein, and timing that's best for you, all on your own, totally for free. I do have nutrition coaching services. We have one-on-one services. There's a lot of help with that stuff, but I also want it to be available for free so that way finances aren't a limiting factor for you getting healthier. But we want to find the appropriate calories, appropriate protein, appropriate timing. Try to reduce sugars. Try to reduce or monitor caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life, I believe, of 6 hours. So you try not to take any caffeine roughly 6 to 8 hours before your bedtime. There's a lot of sequencing with caffeine that is optimal for health. So, for example, a lot of recommendations say don't consume caffeine until 90 minutes of being awake. Then you would consume it at that time, then maybe one time about 2 hours later, and then you shouldn't consume any more caffeine. There are, nuances in science about that, so you can look into that more if you want. But that is something to manage, is reduce sugars, reduce caffeine. I do encourage people to reduce alcohol. Alcohol absolutely can jack up your sleep. It's also just wasted calories that will promote fat storage and or reduction of fat being burned off. It absolutely has a negative impact on testosterone. Holy freaking crap. Alcohol is just literally a poison. It is not good for you. I know a lot of people, if they're resistant to giving it up, it can often be an emotional support. I would encourage you to maybe get some therapy and find a different emotional support, one that maybe is a little healthier. So we do want to reduce sugars. We want to reduce alcohol. We also want to reduce kind of just heavy meals, like high saturated fat, heavy just blah meals. A meal where you eat and you feel like you have to unbutton your pants and lay down. Try to avoid those meals. They're often just not healthy meals. Typically, when we eat healthy food, we kind of eat it and then we're like, oh man, that felt pretty good. I could eat a little more, but I'm good enough for now. And then you still feel like you have energy to go do something. If you eat and you immediately feel like you have to take a nap, that was probably not healthy food, or it wasn't a healthy amount, or you're just really tired and maybe you do need that nap. But it shouldn't be because of the food. You probably should have felt like the nap was necessary before you ate. But those are things we look at with nutrition, is trying to get healthy calories, protein, timing, reduce sugars, reduce alcohol, and reduce heavy meals. And again, we have that free document on the website if you want to learn those elements for yourself. Or for $100 a month, we do nutrition coaching. So that's an option. You can look at our website for that as well. Then exercise, move. Don't even worry about what it is at first. If you currently don't do anything consistently, do anything consistently. So it doesn't matter what it is. Go for walks. Do jumping jacks in the corner of your living room. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just move your butt. Get your butt moving around. If you can move 3 to 4 times a week for 10 to 20 minutes, that's an amazing start. Aim for that. Once you can get to that, you want to start doing some resistance training. You want to get some external weight loads onto your body. That can really spark an increase in natural testosterone. There's tons of studies to back that up. And typically it's heavier compound movements, a movement that kind of tests your body. It's safe, but your body kind of gets done with that like bout of effort and goes, holy freaking crap, what the hell was that? Like, whew, that was hard. And that's what we want, because then the body's going to increase testosterone. It's going to try to put the protein to work to build new structures, increase muscle tissue, increase connective tissue, and try to get you overall healthier. And that's going to help reduce wear and tear stress that you feel throughout the day, reduce cortisol production, which will improve sleep quality when cortisol goes down. It's more muscle tissue, and feeling stronger is all linked together with increased testosterone and better hormone profiles. So get to resistance training when you can. That will help. And make sure you don't resistance train, though, without the nutritional support. You have to have the proper calories and protein. Otherwise, you're actually digging yourself worse into a hole. Your hormones will actually get worse. So please, please, please have the nutritional support if you're going to do the exercise. And again, if you want any kind of exercise advice, we do have our one-on-one coaching. I can literally write stuff that's perfect for your current abilities and whatever you have access to. We also have our live monthly programming service. I'm bringing this back because it was very popular, where we have pre-existing programming that anyone under a category can follow. So, for example, we have powerlifting, female shape development, bodybuilding. You can pick any of those that kind of pique your interest, and you get a brand new program every 4 weeks. Every exercise has a video tutorial, and we have a group learning document, so everybody gets to ask whatever questions they want, and everybody gets an answer every single week. So that service is cheaper than a one-on-one coaching, because the one-on-one coaching is all personalized programming, whereas the live monthly programming is a program I write for the categorical goal, but it would be the same program that everybody's going to follow if they want that goal. So those are some options we have. The question I usually get when it comes to crappy hormone profiles or low testosterone is, can I still make progress? The answer is yes. If you improve your habits from whatever you're doing now, you will make improvements. So if you eat like crap, but you eat a little bit better, you'll make some improvements. If you sleep like crap, but you sleep a little better, you'll make some improvements. If you don't exercise at all, now you exercise some, you'll make some improvements. If you exercise some, and now you start adding weight training, you'll make some improvements. So if you do better than you've been doing, you will get better than you've been getting. So I would encourage you that even if your hormones are not optimal, still move, still do some things, still try to make some improvements. Improvements will be slower. That's just the truth. It's depressing, but it's the truth. And your ceiling for total possible outcome will be lower as well. I wish that wasn't the answer, and I wish I had something more positive to tell you. But the key takeaway is you can make improvements. So the improvements are slower. Yes, that's why good hormones are nice to have. Well, that's why it's worth pursuing a hormone specialist to try to figure that out. And your potential ceiling of progress is lower with a poor hormone profile. But it doesn't mean you can't make progress. You absolutely can improve. One of the things we want to kind of focus on is right now you can work on establishing the habits that you will need to have in place so that if you do get hormonal support, you have all these habits in place to actually optimize and use the hormones. So work on what you're doing now, see what improvements you can get while you're also pursuing any extra assistance that you may need. Remember that doing nothing gets you nothing, but doing something gets you something. And then you can learn from your somethings, and you can better fine-tune your efforts, and you can get a better outcome for your efforts. So some things give hope. Some things create movement. Some things, doing anything, doing something. Don't do nothing, do something. Some things lead to somewhere. somewhere new. So if you don't like where you are, move. Do something. Do anything. Literally anything. Because it'll create hope of change. You'll learn from anything that you do. You'll kind of improve the fine-tune and kind of effectiveness of that effort, and you'll get a little better outcome. You'll improve the effectiveness of that effort, you'll get a little better outcome. It creates movement. It creates progression. Okay. Well, I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some good insight. If you have any follow-up questions, if you need anything, just shoot me an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. I appreciate you listening to the podcast. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. Also, if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.